This one's wife. Little ones are little. Yes. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. This one's wife regularly states the obvious, but even that statement surpasses her levels of obviousness. There is the potential for what she has to say, which I'll be talking about in a moment, to cause several of your brain cells to wave a little white flag, give up and say, balls to this, I'm out of here. This one's wife is dull, is beige, she's banal. And with that comes a considerable risk that your brain cells will simply wither away, listening to the tosh that she comes out with. In order to stimulate your brain cells ahead of that, I'm going to offer you some unusual facts as sustenance for your brain cells pending the starvation that is going to come in due course. Did you know, for instance, that Australia is wider than the Moon? The Moon is 3,400 kilometres, or 2,113 miles in diameter, while Australia's diameter from east to west is almost 4,000 kilometres, 2,485 miles. So Australia is wider than the Moon. Avocados are not vegetables. They're fruits because they're single-seeded berries. Human teeth are the only part of the body that cannot heal themselves. Switzerland prohibits the ownership of just one guinea pig because guinea pigs are viewed as social creatures, so one guinea pig would get lonely, so having just one is considered animal abuse in Switzerland. Tigers don't have striped fur, they have striped skin. A shrimp's heart is in its head. You're actually more creative in the shower. No, don't go there with your gutter-like mind. But actually, the warm water increases the flow of dopamine and makes you more creative. Sloths can hold their breath longer than dolphins. Fruit Loops are actually all the same flavour, despite their different colours. And supermarket apples can actually be a year old. That's because apples are picked in autumn, covered in wax, hot air dried, and put in cold storage, and that keeps them edible and ready to sell for 6 to 12 months. Finally, Venus is the only planet that spins clockwise. There you are. Some interesting facts, which should offer your brain cells sustenance as we now move on to the famine that comes with this one's wife. Reported in PR Puffpeacedom People.com, this one's wife gives Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet a shout out when asked about holiday traditions. For this one's wife, the holidays are all about her children, Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet. Triangulation. The Duchess of Sussex, 42, hit the red carpet at Variety's Power of Women event in Los Angeles on Thursday night. Just a week away from Thanksgiving, this one's wife was asked by a reporter about her favourite holiday tradition. Now, of course, in the United States, Thanksgiving is a major holiday and a major celebration. Akin to that people having many Christmas traditions, some which are generic and universal, others perhaps more special to a particular family, etc. It's similar with Thanksgiving. What tradition do you think that this one's wife was alluding to? Might she be talking about watching the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade or breaking the wishbone for good luck? Maybe it was sharing what you're most thankful for, watching an American football game. It might be running a turkey trot. It might be giving back in some way, or shop till you drop on Black Friday. Those are just some of the traditions which are associated with Thanksgiving. So, which one has she generated? Is it one of those, or something perhaps a little more bespoke to the Sussex household? Well, she explained, "That's a great question. Our little ones are little, and we're enjoying every moment of it." Let's listen to that again. That's a great question. Our little ones are little, and we're enjoying every moment of it. So the question was, what's your favourite holiday tradition? Which means the interviewer, this one's wife, is wanting you to explain what one of your traditions happens to be. You stall with, that's a great question. It's not really. If you're talking about Thanksgiving, it follows that you might ask, what do you do at Thanksgiving? What are your traditions? So it's hardly a great question. It's a fairly obvious and standard one. And then to follow up with, our little ones are little, no fucking shit, and spiders are hairy, the Pope is Catholic, and bears shit in the woods. And we're enjoying every moment of it. So that's the tradition, is it? You know what has happened there, don't you? Her narcissism has not been able to fabricate an answer quickly enough, and therefore deflects with this god-awful answer. This would suggest to my mind that at Thanksgiving, very little actually happens. Namely, if the children do exist, that she doesn't have much to do with them because they're looked after by staff. And, who knows, maybe she goes to a drive-through for a burger so she can be papped there rather than actually cooking a Thanksgiving meal. For somebody who professes to be such a foodie, you would think that there might be some suggestion of Archie helping making some of the food, or that they do something all together as a family. Or she could talk about perhaps a tradition that was used by her and Harry, as they've been together longer than the children have appeared. But there isn't, and she's not able to talk about any family tradition, probably because there isn't one, and her narcissism wasn't quick enough to fabricate some suggestion, and therefore what you get is an answer which is something of a non sequitur. It doesn't follow on correctly. Our little ones are little. No, we never realised that. Yeah, thanks for shedding light on that, and we're enjoying every moment of it. Right, but the question was, what's your favourite holiday tradition? Not that your little ones are little and you're enjoying every moment of it. This is demonstrative of how empty she is on the inside, that she's not able to provide an answer because probably no answer actually exists, and in this instance, her narcissism as a middle mid-ranger wasn't slick enough to fabricate something. Linked to her low intelligence, it couldn't come up with an answer, and therefore just came up with this deflecting bollocks, quite simply. A more effective narcissist may well have utilised the truth because traditions exist, or would have created a half-truth or fabricated the truth. But they would have been able to give an answer as a consequence of being far more charismatic and intelligent than this one's wife. But you're treated to hear the ridiculousness of this one's wife with little ones are little. The article continues then by explaining that this one's wife and Prince Harry welcomed their son Archie in May 2019, blah, blah, blah. Lilibet in June 2021, blah, blah, blah. Makes reference to a holiday card released that year, bringing up the past and triangulation. It then moves on to how this one's wife previously spoke about how their family spends the holidays during a November 2021 appearance on her friend, who isn't, Ellen DeGeneres' talk show. Asked about their Thanksgiving plans that year, this one's wife shared, I love to cook, we'll be home and just sort of relax and settle in. It's our second Thanksgiving at home in California, so it will be nice. She's like an NPC, isn't she? Just with these set responses, unable to provide you with any meaningful insight. It then interviewed for a little longer, and Lily's first Halloween, etc. And about Lily was dressed up as a skunk, which is quite devaluing for a child, really, isn't it? So the article, because she hasn't any traditions to speak of, has to bring up the past. It then returns to the present by explaining, during her surprise red carpet appearance, this one's wife hinted at what she hopes to do in the future with her projects. Things that make people feel. I was going to say good, but it's more than that. Things that make people feel something. Right. Probably by taking a fork and sticking it in their eye in order to stop having to watch whatever it is that you've produced, or taking a rusty hacksaw and sawing off a limb in order to distract themselves from the overriding misery of watching a program prepared by her. Is that the kind of feeling that she's talking about? She expands. Feel a sense of community. But we have so many exciting things on the slate, I can't wait until we can announce them. We're just really proud of what we're creating, and my husband is loving it too, and as I explained in a separate video, that's future faking. Inside the event, this one's wife stood and clapped for all the honorees and their presenters. Stunning. So brave. So talented. Thank you, people, for telling us about the fact that this one's wife managed to stand. I suppose, actually, that is quite an achievement, given those chicken legs. And that she managed to clap. I suppose it was that idiotic raising her hands high, notice me as I'm clapping, that she does. Most people sort of clap at waist level, or if you're at a concert, you might clap above your head, I suppose, if you're joining in with We Will Rock You. But for her, she does this weird clapping with her hands almost in front of her face, which, of course, is driven by her narcissism to draw attention to her. Because although she's clapping somebody else, you need to be looking at her doing the clapping and not the person who's the recipient of the applause, of the applause, because it must be all about her. Apparently, People tells us she kept intently focused on the programme the whole time and didn't seem to talk to anyone at her table, says an onlooker. Ha! Rather, nobody spoke to her because she's so bastard boring and that she hasn't got anything meaningful to say. Thus, all she could do was remain intently focused on the programme. This one's wife was named an honoree for Variety's Power of Women issue last year. However, she didn't attend the event in Los Angeles, which took place just a few weeks after the death of Queen Elizabeth, Prince Harry's grandmother. The article then tells us about the current honorees, and it's evident that this one's wife was there as some form of alumni, although, as reported elsewhere, she was not an official guest. There we are. This shows the emptiness, the dullard nature of this woman, that when she's asked about the traditions, she can't explain any, simply because they don't actually exist. She doesn't engage in anything, because it's all about her rather than her family. But for the purposes of appearances, she has to answer something, so we're treated to the word-saladly ridiculousness of little ones are little. Once again, she has shown just what an empty individual she is. And that's entirely commensurate with her narcissism. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.